Hello, it's Ben with the DIY Homefront. Thanks for checking out the channel. Today we're going to be freshening up some fall pumpkins. So let's get into this. So I've got this old trash can that I cut the sides out of to use for a project that should be thrown away, but I thought I would use it one last time as a stand to paint these pumpkins. Well, the first pumpkin we're going to do is actually made out of cement, and it's a plant stand. And one side has a jack-o'-lantern face and the other side looks like the pumpkin. And because it's made out of cement, I'm going to clean it up with a wire wheel attached to my DeWalt drill. And even though this wire wheel is old, it's going to work just fine. The goal is to knock off all the old loose material and find a stable surface underneath that the paint can adhere to. I'm going to speed this up, but I'll go ahead and work my way around the tops, the sides, and the bottom. And doing this is going to create quite a bit of paint and cement dust. So you're going to want to do this in a well-ventilated area. I'm outside and I've got a good breeze blowing, but wearing a dust mask would definitely be beneficial. Now that I've got this pumpkin cleaned up, it's time to move on to my second one. So this is a lightweight foam pumpkin that you can get for in the craft stores. And it's not in that bad a shape, but it's starting to get sun faded, and my wife wanted it freshened up. So I'm going to repaint it too. And the wire brush works so well on the cement pumpkin that I'm just going to give it a quick over with the wire brush. The goal is really just to scuff the surface because my wife had already cleaned it with some soap and water. And I'm going to use some Krylon paint spray that brags about its adhesion abilities. Popsicle orange, oh my gosh. I read the directions and shook the paint can for about 5 minutes. I also put on a rubber glove because obviously I'm holding this lightweight foam pumpkin to paint it. And once I feel like I got a decent first coat on it, I'll set it off to the side on top of a roll of paint tape. And it's okay if I don't have a perfectly even coat or color on this first pass because we're going to paint it more than once. It took a couple of tries, but I finally found a pot that I could put on top of the trash can that allowed me to paint right up to the very edge of the bottom of the pumpkin. And if you're wondering why I'm painting this pumpkin on top of this old towel, it's because it's one of my secrets. Anytime you're using a sprayer to put on paint, you're going to get a lot of particles of paint in the air. But this towel is going to help pick up a lot of those paint particles that are floating around the air. And it just makes it a safer and cleaner environment for me. And obviously it protects the pot sitting on top of the trash can, but I was going to use this towel either way. And unlike the foam pumpkin, this concrete pot is very porous, so it's going to take more coats of thicker paint to get the same kind of coverage. So here's some music and we'll see how many coats it took. This is the second coat on our foam pumpkin. And now the second coat for the cement pumpkin. And now this will be the third coat of paint on the cement pumpkin. And I'm just now starting to get some even coverage on this. So I will allow about 20 minutes of dry time between each one of these coats. And this will be the fourth and final coat. And I will use all the paint in the paint can on this one. So in the end, we ended up with 2 light coats on the foam pumpkin and 4 heavy coats on the concrete pumpkin. Now I need to make sure there's plenty of time for the paint to dry. So I'm going to put these pumpkins inside of my wife's greenhouse, and it should be about 100 degrees in there. I'll leave these in here to dry for a day, and then we'll finish painting them tomorrow. Well, here we are 2 days later. Alright, I simply just took a bunch of tape and ripped it and tore it so I got around the edges. You need to make sure the paint has had a good chance to dry. Otherwise, when you put this tape on here to mask off the areas that you want to paint, when you pull the tape off, you'll pull the paint off too. Now I'm going to cover the rest of this pumpkin with this plastic bag, so that way I don't have to worry about the brown overspray getting on the rest of the pumpkin. And now I'll take the painter's tape and tape the bag down. If I were painting this stem with a brush, I wouldn't need to do this step, but all I have is brown spray paint, so I'm going to use the spray paint that I have. I read the directions, I shook up the paint can, and now we'll put some of this brown paint on. And this paint's a gloss brown, so it's going to dry shiny. I should be able to get away with just one coat of thick paint. And once I'm done with that, I will go ahead and immediately remove all of this tape. And the only difficult part to this task is being careful not to hit the stem where you've painted it. You don't want to end up wiping any of the paint you just put on off. The reason I'm doing this now is it's a whole lot easier to have a wet edge and peel the tape back than let the paint dry and peel the tape back. Just be careful of the wet paint on the edge of the tape. You don't want to get that anywhere on this pumpkin or a project. Well, once we've got the tape pulled off, we are pretty much done. We just need to set it someplace off to the side to finish drying. On the jack-o'-lantern side of the cement pot, I'm going to use some gloss black paint. And I'm starting out with one of these disposable brushes, but I'm having a difficult time trying to get as much detail as I want without it going everywhere. So I'm going to go look for a smaller paintbrush to make this job easier. If you get some paint where you don't want it, it's easy enough to wipe it off with your finger or a paper towel. I think the best part about this pot is the fact that it has a jack-o'-lantern face on one side and it's plain on the other. So after we put this out and use it for Halloween, we just turn it around and then it's there all the way through Thanksgiving. Well, heading into fall after Halloween, you've got your standard pumpkin. Well, you ready for Halloween? I sure am. And the pumpkin looks great as a jack-o'-lantern. Alright, well, it's time to move on to the next project. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, check out my playlist, and I'll see you in that next video.